I mean, it's great to kind of connect to some of the industry leaders, great brands. The idea is to kind of have a conversation which is a free-flowing conversation. Will also bring up some use cases, some examples to kind of really see that what is the relevance of a Gen AI and how does that can apply in our day-to-day work. But more importantly, picking up Gen AI so that it kind of gives that kind of a benefit. So with that, I'll start the introduction. My name is Kapil Verma. I am the Executive Director for Consumer and Retail in IBM Consulting. Been with IBM for last 17 years. Yeah.
I am Nakshat. I lead the data science team at Cocoblu. It includes all aspects of data engineering, analytics, data science, and parts of IT as well. I've been with Cocoblu for almost 2 years now.
Hi, I'm Shawn Chandy. I'm from Paragon Footwear. Been with this company since Jan 23, so relatively new year. I hailed from Mumbai. I was raised there and grew up there. Moved to Bangalore recently. Been in the retail lifestyle space for the last 15 odd years with Raymond, Samsonite, Aditya Birla, and little experience on the agency side. So happy to be part of this group today.
Hi, my name is Satish Panchabakesan. I lead IT for Arvind Fashions Limited. I'm the CIO there. So Arvind Fashions, I'm sure all of you are aware, we are licensors of Arrow, US Polo brands for India, and we retail and channel them through multiple channels. And we also have our own Flying Machine brand, and we also have Tommy and CK, which is part of our extended PVH Arvind franchisee. So I lead IT for these functions.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon actually. My name is Deepak Mahnot. I work with Soch Apparels. I've been with Soch for about a year now, fairly new stint from that point of view. I lead the marketing, customer experience and the VM functions for Soch.
Hey everyone, I'm Amit. I'm with Ace Turtle. We are a multi-brand retail company. We are licensees for brands like Lee Jeans, Wrangler Jeans, Dockers, Toys R Us in India. And I am CTO at Ace Turtle. I look at technical development, performance marketing, and websites and retail store growth.
Sorry, me and Varun both, we are part of the IBM team. So I lead marketing for IBM Consulting and Varun is part of Kapil's team. So I'm doing this so that, it's faster. We are just observers. We are not participating in the discussion. But I think Sir has joined there. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hello everyone. This is Govardhan Reddy here. I'm the CEO of Skandanshi Retail under the brand name of Beauty and Nutri. So we operate 25 stores in Bangalore, Hyderabad and Chennai. So our headquarters based out of Hyderabad, and we are an omni-channel retail player in fact. Thank you.
Introduce yourself. I know you are an observer, but since what did you? It's okay. I can see.
Hi, my name is Faraz Khan and I represent Synergy Insurance Broker as AVP Pan India, and we are official partner for RAI, so serving a lot of RAI members past 1 decade. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So wonderful. Thanks a lot for this introduction. Today is a very important day. Important in the sense there is a budget session going on. Hopefully, it gives something to everybody, especially to the to the retail segment, because I think as we embark the journey of the Viksit Bharat, I would say that I think retail as a vertical would play I think a very critical role, right? So I hope there are positive outcome from the budget, and I think we should have something for all of us. The idea of kind of a today's discussion is to kind of have more of an interaction, right? To kind of talk about the use cases and the relevancy of the of the Gen AI. But I think before that, before we start that, I think some of the things, as per, the understanding and the way the things are going, some of the things which have really changed post-COVID is, I think, is the geopolitical, so there were war, now there are wars, there could be additional wars, I think, which has kind of impacted the supply chain, which has caused, and then inflation, which has caused, issues from a labor perspective, the consumer going, hyper local and, more personalization. Obviously, there is an element of a theft, pilferage, all those things are there. So technology, I think, is moving to the next stage, on its own. Down, few years back, we were talking about the relevance of the data. Then we started talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and from last few quarters, at least 4 or 5 quarters, we are talking about, the Gen AI, right? How does the Gen AI thing happens, right? So from an IBM standpoint, we have been kind of engaged with various, companies, and we have got, plethora of, solutions, and how do we kind of, look forward to in terms of improvement of the productivity, improvement of the sales, improvement of the, the back-end channels, etc. But the idea is to kind of understand the challenges. If you could kind of, talk about, some of the challenges respective to your, businesses. Maybe, we can have, a common thread then, going on. I'll kind of, just leave it as, one thought, and which I'm personally observing because I'm driving, a lot of solutions in the market. There is, there is a level of, I would say, small players getting into the, I would say, in this space, and everybody is talking about, a POC. Everybody is talking about, doing some solution, but the challenge comes in when you have to kind of scale it up. Can you really scale it up? Can you kind of really, make it as a robust, solution? So I think that's the idea. I mean, I think, you are. If you want to kind of introduce yourself, that would be, really great.
Yeah. Yeah, so myself, Anil Gurnani. So I'm the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer in TTK Prestige, heading the sales, marketing, service, and R&D part of the TTK Prestige.
Great to meet you, Anil.
Thank you.
And I was
Thanks
just,
a lot.
Reading about, some of your, articles, etc. So let me start with you, Anil. Then, what is the, one thing where you think that, is the biggest challenge in the kitchen appliances, appliances business, or, reality? I think you have started something called as a master smart chef, right? So do you want to kind of, talk about it and maybe share your views?
See, nowadays, one is, as far as the industry is concerned, definitely it's going through its own challenges right now, because what has happened is, during the COVID period, this industry boomed up. Okay, all the players, around 20-30% growth everyone had. Obviously, when many of them went into the kitchen at that time, many became chefs, okay, at that time. So lots of kitchen appliances actually boomed up, okay. Categories like, kettles, induction cooktops and all, such categories actually zoomed up, shoppers and all. So post that, what has happened is, one, it got saturated because every product has its own life cycle. Okay, so at least 5 years product life cycle, number one. Number two is also, post that, I think the wallet share of the consumer has gone into more of entertainment and travel rather than getting into kitchen appliances over there. And we had also our base effects, right? So you have to grow over there. So that has been a challenge, but definitely, but what we feel is, as an organization, you have to stick to your core values, because TTK Prestige has always been known as a thought leader, as an innovation in itself. In any of the, we have always believed that we'll get into a category only when we have some value addition for the consumers. It's not a Me Too product or something, what other player has given and just copy it. But if we feel that, we can add value to the category, we can, meet any, unmet needs of the consumers, solve some pain points, then only only we'll get into that category over there. So that's why we believe in that. Hopefully, we are being, going through this wave, going strong, I would say. Still, we are the fastest growing company in the industry, and having a far biggest bottom line, because if I look at, because the next player in our industry is less than half of our size over there. So these all things have given us that edge, and we continue to do that itself.
And what would be your, I would say, one thing, if you have a perspective on the artificial intelligence earlier and now Gen AI, do you think that it makes any sense in the verticals what you kind of operate can kind of solve some of the challenges? And if yes, what would be that one or two challenges which would be the top category challenges?
Definitely, see, and we have started, using that as well, because we always say, we are not only the manufacturers or a trading partner, but we are also the retailer in itself.
Yeah.
Because we have close to 800 franchisee stores at a pan-India level over there, and we do more than 600 crores business in that. So it's a big channel for us. Okay, so managing these 800 retail outlets in itself, so you need to, so right now we are using the generative AIs in terms of pooling up the consumer data from various sources that we have, using it, to upsell and cross-sell to the consumers over there. We have been very pretty going strong in terms of omni-channel and endless aisle as well by using this technology. Because one thing, biggest thing which I believe that this generative AI will give is analyzing the consumer data, because you get data from various points, okay, because we have our service centers where we get more than 1 lakh call per month. Okay, we have our own 700 plus stores where we interact to at least 10 lakh consumers at every month over there. We have our own D2C website where people come and buy over there. So there are various consumers touch points that we have. We get various data. We are as a seller on e-commerce platforms of Amazon and Flipkart as well. So there are various data that we get from various these sources, but to actually collate that data and make use of it over there to cross-sell and upsell is the most tedious task, and that is where we feel that generative AI will help us to do that.
All right. Okay. So, Shawn, any thoughts around because you play in an industry where is the style changes, the color brand, the color size, etc. You need to be present in the right spot at the right time. So, what would be those kind of challenges which you think that technology can maybe solve?
So recently we just tried something. We've been trying this. I mean, we are in a category which is mass to ultra mass. So in our category, the products are largely undifferentiated. I'm talking about footwear like flip-flops, chappals, etc., which are in the sub 300 space. However, we have products in sports shoes and sneakers. We have a brand which we launched pre-COVID, which is called Ekin, which is basically primarily targeting the youth segment, 18 to 25 actually age group, which Paragon couldn't do on its own. So it had to launch a new brand. And in that, for that product, okay, obviously when you target a younger audience, designs play a very important role. In this mass segment of footwear, what we see is it's mostly inspired. Okay, it's another way of saying. So the other day we were having a meeting with the agency, and he says that everybody here is an Anu Malik or a Preetham or whatever, because wahan se copy karo, chipkao, and you'll see a lot of inspired Nike Air Jordans and Air Force, etc., etc. What we try to do with AI is some of our younger designers, and we took it up as a project, is AI helping us design shoes, and it's really they're quite remarkable actually, and because I mean, in fact, the designs were some of them were so good that we thought we couldn't actually sell them because it was too cutting edge. So we are toying with that. We are trying to, and also there's the problem with production cost. So we are not a Nike or Adidas that we can sell at a very high price. So if there's a fantastic design, and getting designs is easier than producing it at a cost which makes sense to our target audience, which we can sell through our distribution channels. That's one area that's because Our biggest challenge is getting designs which are relevant for our consumer, not just to our trade, which the trade is confident about, and our consumers will actually buy. Because in our category, even a small percentage, 5-10% variation in price can make a huge difference in, and people are not really willing to pay that premium, our core audience. Another thing that we are trying is, again, in the creative field is, we do a lot of communication to the consumers and to trade, and AI is really helping us reduce our dependencies on external vendors, agencies, freelancers, etc. That's something that is really, I think, so one designer, we have 2 designers in-house who help us with internal communication and trade communication. My external vendors are actually unhappy. They're telling me that, you stop giving us business. I said, but I don't need to, because these tools are helping me actually create communication so quickly and with so much ease. And one person is able to roll out so many creatives in a day or in a week, that unfortunately or fortunately, it's fortunate for me because I'm saving on cost and quick turnaround, and unfortunate for the external vendors or agencies who are earlier helping us. We had multiple agencies helping us, and now it's cut down to everything being done in-house and very quickly. So that's another area that we have found it's very helpful. Customer service, of course, I think all of us here, most of our brands are using chatbots. So that's really made a lot of difference. We earlier had call centers, etc. And that, of course, now I think it's just hygiene, right? Everybody has a chatbot. Everybody uses WhatsApp and chatbots to communicate with trade, with the end consumer. Cataloging becomes much easier. So all those, these tools are actually helping us scale all that, even for a mass brand and in a mass category like that we operate in.
Sir, you want to introduce yourself and maybe add?
Check. Hello. Yeah, first let me apologize for barging in.
We met you over there.
Yeah, for barging in for this. I was invited to join in at the last moment, so my apologies. Johnson Burgess. I look after Fossil India and the countries around India. Let me be honest, we are at the very, very early stages of usage of AI in any of the fields that we are looking at. We are a global organization. At the global level, we are working on some solutions for some of our critical problems. I understand what you're talking about is largely to do with what are the critical areas that AI can actually assist with, or what are the main challenges that you have that AI can actually support. We are a fashion player, as it were, and to that extent, I think the largest, let's say, element of understanding that we need is what is demand going to be like? How do you forecast demand accurately? Because fashion requires you to have, there's no product that we can sell for the next 10 years. It's no longer a fashion product. So we have 4 cycles of products that come into the market in a year. And the investments that you need to make get that product to the market are enormous. So the level of accuracy in terms of forecasting demand, when you look at it cut by geography, cut by the brands that we deal with, we have about 6 brands that we present in India. We have a lot more brands abroad. But between the Fossil and the Michael Kors and Armani Exchange, Emporio Armani, Diesel, Tory Burch, and what have you, you can go completely haywire when you have the wrong product. And when you're looking at the premium segment, you want to make sure that you have as little product as possible, which is off-season. The more there is off-season, not only is the impact to your bottom line, but the impact to your brand. And finally, we are in the business of brands. In terms of where I think the early stages that we are using AI is essentially for data. There's such a large volume of data that we generate across the world, because finally, every single transaction is captured. We have our own stores. We have e-commerce that is a large part of our business. So we have access to a fair bit of data. And I think getting that data organized in a manner, cut in every single way possible, will mitigate the amount of risk that we take in terms of product and understanding the product and what we need to deliver. So that's clearly one. Content creation, I think, is absolutely valid. We need content in so many shapes, sizes, forms, etc. A lot of it was people oriented in terms of people churning out X, but I think using AI is something that makes a lot of logical sense as it were, and that's something commonsensical that we are talking about. we've not really got into AI for design, largely because, number one, that starting block in terms of understanding what is that design that really needs to work, what is that gap that you have, is more people-oriented, skill-oriented at this point of time. With the data that goes through the system, we should be able to crack that problem fast enough. In which case, then I can see AI driving a design, as it were, in terms of adequately premium. Customer service is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the easiest point to do it. The only apprehension that we have is we are not at the mass price point. Our prices start at 10,000, and in the ranges that we have, products that we have, go all the way up to about 60,000 rupees. So consumers' expectations in terms of what consumer service means to them is perhaps a little different depending on the category that you are in. And I think most of our customers, when they have the same question asked 3 times over in a chatbot, are going to throw up their hands and say, to hell with you. So I think we need to be, so it is not that we can't apply it, it's not that we don't apply it, we do have chatbots, but I think in terms of AI, when we get to that level wherein we are absolutely able to use it to kind of personalize that, without really personalizing it, AI is not personalized, but without really personalizing it, that's going to be where we really make best use of AI. So very broadly on a topic that I'm not the biggest expert, but the challenges are what we face with on a day-to-day basis.
Gopal, any thoughts?
Yeah, Govardhan.
Sorry.
So yeah, that's fine. So since we are into beauty play, so our brand name is Beauty and Nutri, as we mentioned about it, formerly known as Beauty and Beyond. What we are trying to solve here is in terms of with a virtual try-on, like in terms of when customer walks into the store, the major concern is in terms of to know their skin type. Like that is the biggest problem. And unlike earlier 15-20 years back, in terms of this is also comes under service industry, and we used to get a quality manpower at the ground. That is the biggest challenge right now. So what we are trying to do is, as soon as customer enters into the store, we have something called virtual try-on, and this virtual try-on, it tells the customer what are the skin type and what are the products can be recommended. Whether
So is it like the large mirror or like?
Yeah, it's not the large mirror. Even there are some retailers who are doing with the large mirror, but this is a just web-based tool what we are using. Either we have a tab inside the store. If customer is not comfortable, customer can use their mobile handset also.
Okay.
And it can be both ways, in fact. So that tells us completely customer, what are the skin types, whether it is normal, oily, dry, whether customer has kind of acne or a pigmentation or whatever it is. Basis this, we recommend the product. It's not like that it's a human interaction or whatever it is. At least these basic information it is required for a consumer to know about the complete information about the skin. And also later stage we are going to enter into even makeup category also. In beauty industry, if you go to any retail store or in the industry, 70% business generates by these two categories, makeup and skin. So that's why we are trying to solve the problem here in terms of first we have taken as a skin, then getting into the the makeup category. Thank you.
Satish?
Sure. So, I think just extending from what John mentioned on, we are in pretty much a similar. We are in apparels and footwear, and essentially, with an average, product value of about anywhere between 3,500 plus, right? That's our typical selling price of a full price sell-through product. So, I think when we talk about products which are seasonal in nature, which are, a bridge to premium or bridge to luxury as we call it, and some of them really premium, for example, our Calvin Klein and Tommy is upwards of 12,000 a pair of jeans. So essentially, and then when you kind of have that as one dimension, then you have another dimension of seasons, where product shelf life itself is determined by, we have typically autumn, winter, and summer, spring. And right now, actually, as we speak, there is a roadshow happening, for the summer, spring of 2025. So coming back to the topic of day, right? How relevant is generative AI? Actually, to solve a problem of demand of a premiumized product, and which is highly seasonal in nature, and you want to get your maximum realization of a full price sell-through, right, during the peak of the season, essentially what we need is a lot of data, right? And the data, you have to index your data always with your demand, right? And typically the roadshow that happens is our demand generation point, right? Today, if you look at it, when compared to say about 4 years back or even 10 years back, the amount of, while it is questionable whether a roadshow should be physical or digital, maybe our view is it should probably be a good combination of both. The amount of data that we generate in a roadshow, right, about say 5-6 years back and what we're able to generate now is almost tenfolds, right? And while some basics still remain, right, in terms of catalogs and the ability to place orders and review certain options and style codes and trims and fits and all the product attributes, while that can be what was done about 5-6 years back has got significantly enriched in what the person who come from the trade is actually able to visualize the product on, right? So that is one very simple example of how we can actually bring more life into the product, right? And that actually helps sharpen the decision to a great extent. It helps understand why the product is priced at a particular price point, and what was a similar product, basis what they had, probably bought 5 seasons back, 10 seasons back, looked like without those attributes, right? So all this is, helping essentially for us to achieve 2 or 3 things, right? One is it's helping us, eliminate what we call as, the sampling efficiencies, right? Sampling efficiencies typically used to be in the order of 40 to 50% at best, which means half of your products which actually get into the trade show actually gets kind of you'll have to just palm it off through an employee sale or some liquidation sale or in some cases online, right? And only the 50% of the products actually get into the channels, right? And out of the 50%, roughly 60 to 70% of that get into our own retail channels, where we have a view of the product, the pricing, when we want to give the discounts and all of that stuff. So balance 30 to 40% gets into trade. So that whole decision-making process, right, starting from what type of products to sample, improve the sampling efficiencies, and make sure that you actually get the maximum realization of the product when it eventually gets to the shelf, right, is completely a data-driven exercise today. I would say largely a data-driven exercise today when compared to what it was, many years back. And now what we're trying to do is we're actually trying to take that into our demand forecasting systems, right? And take that as one of the critical enablers for, sharpening our S&OP processes, sharpening our forecasting systems. When we use theory of constraints to actually predict, some of the demand, which itself is algorithm driven. And these are significant inputs which actually get into the, TOC model to actually get a better inventory turn, right? So that's the other efficiency parameter I was talking about, because ultimately the market trusts that you have the best products, but are you selling it the best way, right? And how do you actually go back and tell the market that you're selling it the best way, right? So it's basically what they will look for is how good your inventory turns are. Are they as good as say a more commoditized type of a product, even though you might be in fashion, right? For example, a company like Zara would boast of a very, very high inventory turn, even though they are also a predominantly fashion type of product. Uniqlo also will have a significantly high inventory turn. So how do we actually raise to that number, right? Is always a goal seek that we do. And the role of AI, machine learning, data models is fundamental to all this, right? Because while there is a lot of empirical thinking that has come through over a period of time, but when you get to a decision making and when you get to that rubber meeting the road as they call, it's always these solutions which actually have helped take a decision. Of course, adoption is always a challenge because there are mindsets. People will want to buy a certain things because they think that's the best thing which will work in a particular market. You always have the empirical experts, right, in an industry like us. But I think that's the wonderful transition that we are going through, and so I can take this whole logic to the way we do contracts, buying, our whole retail, what type of enablements we are doing. But I will just stop it at this for now. Yeah.
No, thanks. I think very interesting. We in IBM, you might be aware of, so we have a product and a solution which is called as a fashion.ai. What it does is it kind of tells you what is going to be the SKU which is going to be sold next season based on the style, color, affinity, gender, etc. So you put all those parameters and the demographics, which is it picks up. It's a hyper local. So what it works in Mumbai could be very different. It will work in Chennai. So this tool automatically kind of keeps on learning about the cultural behavior, etc., buying patterns, and then how it kind of develops. So for example, the product category managers are started using this on their tabs, right? So they kind of look at the various products and the categories, and they say, hey, we need maybe 20,000 more of this color, of this size, which would be kind of a more relevant in particular stores in a particular geography. That's one example. The other one, I think I was talking to somebody, is about the whole thing of kind of launching a new product, right? The agency role, which was very critical, right? Now agency's role is, I think the way it is going could be limited. We did a very recent kind of a engagement with a company. I mean, I can't name it, but it's an oil company. It's a very strong north-based oil company. It's an edible oil. They had to launch a product in South India, right? And there, the company's policies, company thought process, company brand managers were all different when they had to kind of launch it in South India. They had spent around 3 months with that agency, and they were not sure how do they still launch it. We stepped in and we kind of gave few ideas. So these ideas were very thought-provoking, looking at the cultural, looking at the eating habits, etc. And they are now able to kind of launch. So what was thought in, let's say, 3 months, shrunk down to almost 2 weeks kind of a thing. To your point, so agency's role that way is kind of if we do it smartly, that is the power of, I would say, the technology. And very soon, that product would be launched in, South India already that way.
So forecasting is something, I mean, I've been in the fashion industry for a very long time, and in this, we are in footwear I'm sorry I'm taking all the time, just 2 minutes, but forecasting is the biggest challenge even in our industry. In footwear, again, fashion industry, it's part of fashion lifestyle. We launch some 10, 15 designs, new designs every month. So that's another challenge, and this is interesting what you said, but I'm just, how do you get your inputs to derive these trends and all that? You look at global trends, and how do you derive that?
So the input is the about that fashion.ai, right? So there are various inputs. So the modeling which is being overdone, then it's the demographic, the buying pattern over a period of time. It looks into the competition. It looks into what is going on, let's say if there is a launch of a new product, which is kind of, selling high, right? Inspired, kind of a thing. So it picks up everything. It picks up the things from the domain, which is there in the public domain, but a restricted domain, well governed, So there is a lot of data plus, I would say, the historical data. Then it does the that logic. But the good thing is it could be experimental only for one store. You don't need to kind of deploy, as in all the stores. You can kind of just deploy it in one store and see for yourself. Yeah. Nakshat, you want to add something?
Yeah. So in this context of generative AI. I don't know if a lot of challenges that we discussed here will be solved through Gen AI. Maybe they use traditional ML models or the traditional AI and a wrapper of Gen AI to help business interpret the results. You may not need a lot of folks to help you decipher what the p-value or the stats are, right? So using Gen AI as a wrapper on top of traditional ML can help. And another challenge that with generative AI, the challenges that I see getting solved are around content, content creation, content reading. We have a lot of documents, contracts, reading those, storing them in a folder, and then just having a Q&A bot on top of it. Those are great use cases for generative AI right now at Cocoblu. We also deal with almost 2 million unique listed SKUs on Amazon. So finding content that is right, that may be not compliant, that is a big use case for us. And identifying those gaps, bridging those gaps, making it more search friendly so that we can get higher conversion. So that's another use case. Buy better, price better. I think the theme was that. So how do we price it? But to me, pricing would again be a traditional algorithm route rather than a Gen AI route. But yeah, that's the challenge. And one challenge with Gen AI that I particularly have been seeing is around costs. The costs are very dynamic. They are difficult to understand at this point in time. You have input tokens, output tokens getting priced at different prices. Models are not released in India, in a different region. When they come, the costs go down. So the cost bit of it is also a big challenge to understand, and to make sure that there's a budget, right? So I don't know what is the right budget to plan a Gen AI project, and whether I'll fit into that budget, what my running cost will be, dev cost. Then there is LLM ops on deployment of these, so those skilled resources. So yeah, my challenges are more on the implementation side, I feel, but yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
I'll give you an example of the content. I think, sir, you also brought it up. It's I think, world's #1 or #2 chocolate company. So they were supposed to launch a product again for a particular theme. So they wanted to kind of see how does the content gets generated, right? So for example, so we prepared a model for them, and which kind of talked about, for example, let's say it's a Christmas or it's a Diwali time, and it's, let's say, for the youngsters age group between X and Y, etc. So what could be the theme? Or let's say, during Valentine time, what are the 5 big themes which can kind of work? So system threw up the content, right? So it's not a ready-made content, but it's a content which kind of gives your thoughts, right? So it gives you a start point, right? So that your overall time to kind of make it, the new product gets live. So that's a kind of an ability on the content. So it has started. Now going forward, it is helping in the videos also. It is not so great in the videos, but it gives you the right kind of a content, in the sense, for example, if you are, if you want to kind of open a bank account, the system suggests, hey, you don't go for this bank, but you go for this bank if you are in a particular age group, because this bank gives you 5 more facilities. So that's a kind of a, that content creation, can kind of, help you. So that's one. The other example, what you gave is actually, it's a issue which is kind of not understood by many, because there are a lot of smaller players which comes and kind of do a quick POC in the Gen AI area. Yeah. Now that's very easy to do because things are, not that tough. But when it comes to the governance, when it comes to the right modeling, that's where the whole challenge is, right? When you have to scale up, I think that's where you need to have the right partnership, and so that what could be your estimates and the budgets. It should not go, beyond that limit. So I think that's the compliance and the security framework, and what should be exposed to the user and not exposed. So yeah, having that governance in place is a challenge. Yeah. You want
to? So yeah, I mean, at Astral, AI and ML has been, being used for years now. We started with our platform called Albus, which was an ML and AI platform. And our typical use cases were related around supply chain, like, dynamic safety stock, for example. If you have a shared inventory across offline, online, you want to ensure that you don't get orders for, let's say 5 quantity orders for an SKU which is only available in 2 quantity, so that you have to cancel 3. So dynamic safety stock used to, control that. Then there was order allocation. All our stores are enabled for online fulfillment. So again, ML was used to allocate the order to the right stock point. So this has been a long story. It was done, years back. Last year when Gen AI, we started adopting Gen AI, it was all about content creation on text. So all our marketing copies, product descriptions, product titles for websites, everything last year, it was implemented. It is already live. And now this year, it's all about rich media. So generating, product catalog images, generating marketing creatives. These are the things now getting, automated. Our last batch of catalog that went live was all AI photo shoots. There was nothing that was done in studio or anything like that. So we just did a mannequin photo shoot, superimposed on AI and went live. So a photo shoot that would take approximately 5 to 10 days, depending on the type of category, was done next day. So today you do mannequin photo shoot, tomorrow the product is, the photos are ready. And you can, and our product description, titles, everything is already there. So we can just go live immediately. And whatever 5 to 10 days of, business that we were losing earlier just because content was not ready, now can be capitalized on online channels as well. Another, so now if I, going forward, if I talk about use cases that we are working on at Ace Turtle using Gen AI, I can classify them into 2. One is consumer facing, of course, chatbots and things like that. And second is the productivity improvements. So on productivity improvements, I'll just take a minute. So what has happened is that I'm realizing that Gen AI has completely democratized the skill sets of, a lot of roles. Like for example, earlier when we wanted to do sales projections or let's say demand forecasting or something, we used to have a special teams. We used to have analysts and people doing it on Tableau or something, and they used to churn out all these reports and all. But now our sales teams, our business teams, they are uploading our past sales data to Gen AI models, and they are giving a good accurate forecast to them to begin with, and then they can further refine that. So they don't have to depend on analysts, they don't have to depend on a lot on tech teams and things like that. So they can just do themselves whatever earlier they used to be dependent on us operationally. On the other side, for productivity improvement, as I said, marketing materials have been automated. Our product description, search engine optimization is completely fully automated at this point in time in case of our websites. Some of our websites, for certain keywords have started ranking on top. We have reached top 5 spots in the last 1 year. On Google and other these things. Our Instagram feeds have become much more dynamic. Earlier, it used to depend on a certain team to churn out reels and creative. But now a certain section of our reels or a certain category of our reels is completely automated. So the content keeps coming, somebody just approves it and it goes live. So our Instagram feeds on our stores accounts and everything has become very dynamic. So productivity has improved a lot. On customer side, we already talked about chatbots and things like that. But on customer side, the shift is after COVID hit, personally I've realized is that the attention span has decreased considerably, and it has been decreasing with YouTube introducing shorts, Instagram introducing reels. Everybody is just, about those seconds of attention. And if you don't grab attention in those few seconds, your customer is already lost. Especially if you are in a category of discretionary spends, you have a lot of competition to deal with. So you have to grab attention in those first 10 seconds, 20 seconds of time. And then and that's where this Gen AI helps in churning out a large amount of content so that, some of that will work. Earlier, when you had cycle of, let's say, 2 weeks to create an Instagram reel or a YouTube short, and you can only do it once in 2 weeks. You can only upload a reel once in 2 weeks. You had a lot of customers who would just not be engaged with that. And now you can do it every day and multiple times a day. And some of those reels will actually engage the customers and bring to you, right? So your customer acquisition becomes, that much more easier. Not completely easy, but that much more easier. Your marketing, creatives can be rotated very, very frequently. So you can have one creative today for the same, let's say, end of season sale. You can have a second creative tomorrow. You don't know which one will work. The one that works automatically gets, prioritized for the next campaign and all. You also carry forward a lot of learnings going forward. So earlier what was happening is a lot of this data was not feeding back to the system. So whenever next time you would do end of season sale, you would start over. But now, since you already have that data that coming back to the system, this next time you do the same thing, let's say when we go into festive this year, we will have a lot of data from starting from January to current season sale and all. And that will help us to, get a more refined, marketing material out there in the first shot. So these are the kind of things that we have been working on, and we are planning to work on. And of course, it's an open field now, right? I mean, everybody is it has been completely democratized. It's not just Google now using ML for discovery. Everybody can use ML or Gen AI for showcasing the right set of products to the right set of people, and that's basically changing the game. And it's not basically big boys.
I think you are doing a great work, but any inputs around the security and the overall governance, how do you manage that? Because the way you were saying, I mean, if it's an end of month sale or end of season sale, if it's getting uploaded again and again, so what is those 2 or 3 which you kind of
yeah, I think again, security, I would say security is one of the most essential pieces, which is a trade-off for velocity, right? So if you want faster turnaround for everything, your security is bound to take a hit. Now that's where, the way we are tackling it is we are establishing guardrails. So for example, our pricing is automated, but the pricing happens between certain guardrails. Like for example, the system cannot exceed 50%, more than 50% markdown on any item ever. So even if, let's say, we see that certain SKU or a certain style is depending on the demand and supply needs to be marked down, the system cannot push it beyond 50%. So these guardrails come into the play. On the other side, we also work with a lot of personalized information, personally identifying information, right? So having that right set of tools to ensure that personal PI data is being isolated before it feeds into the system is critical. So when our sales data goes into the system, let's say, when for either for demand forecasting or for reconciliation or anything, the first thing, even when it is generated, the PI data is isolated. It is isolated into a separate vault and then tokenized from there. So that way you essentially safeguard yourself from any data leakages and things like that. Everything else can be aggregated and used, but PI data never. So PI data is something that first gets isolated. Then also, a point comes where are you giving a lot of data to every member in your team, right? So then IT security and everything plays a very important role when you are downloading sales reports, or when you are downloading, as an employee, of course, when you are downloading forecasts and things like that. You should not be able to leak that data, or if that happens, the right alerts should fire and things like that. So it's a multifaceted thing, security itself, and everything requires definitely very close inspection and a solution that works for that particular problem.
Thanks. Deepak, what would be your thoughts? Because the brand which you represent, Soch, would be competing with a lot of other brands. As you said that you can put down and you can fill up the whole paper. So what would be your challenges with vis-a-vis to the new things like Gen AI? Is it something which you think that something is one thing which you would like to solve, as in, because you are in a very space where competition is there everywhere,
Quite intense.
yeah, very intense competition.
Before I start, I'd like to sort of, being in the fashion space, I could completely understand and sort of relate to what Amit was saying, and I think they're doing a fabulous job. I mean, the kind of stuff he spoke about is mind-boggling. I mean, we are only dreaming of trying to do somewhere what they are doing. I won't mind a session separately with him and understand the stuff that he could really.
So I think this is the answer.
Yeah.
to your point.
Yeah.
Why we are
No, I get that. I get that. So some really exceptional stuff that they're doing. For us, I think the biggest challenge is we are at the other extreme of this journey. We are in a space where we don't know what we don't know. Okay, there's so much that this space has to offer. We're still trying to figure out, and we are in a very nascent stage of our journey. We just started this about 10 months to 12 months back, in even thinking about it and trying to implement some aspects of it. Some of the areas where we in the last 4 to 6 months we've already implemented and we are trying to utilize are in the space of customer service. It used to be some of the cases where I can explain, even responding to the customer queries, etc., used to be a mammoth exercise, and a lot of mistakes would happen because it was very human dependent. Okay, from that to automatically the answers being generated, and all you have to see is just check for basic. There is an option to auto reply itself. We've not done that as of now because we don't want to take a chance where something just gets auto replied and maybe completely out of whack. And it just improved the productivity completely. Okay, so a lot of productivity areas in the customer service space that we've started to use, and we're really seeing fantastic benefits on productivity in those areas. The other area that we've started to use is in the space of CRM.
So what have you done for this customer service? Is it like a normal chatbot or it's like a call center?
So the tools that we are now using with a partner is able to auto-generate, say for example, replies, able to sort of create, a lot of cases, like earlier if there were fraud transactions happening on our loyalty program, it's all been automated. It just triggers, all we have to do is check and sort of figure that out. Earlier it used to be a very manual process where we would download the data, figure out what, for example, loyalty, a lot of misuse happens where staff uses their mobile number to get points and use them. It happens in retail. It's nothing new. It's a very common thing. But we've been able to automate in the last 3 to 4 months. So very minimal manual intervention is needed, and we are able to pinpoint exactly where that has happened. Earlier, a lot of cases would pass by without us even figuring out. I'm just giving a very small example of how in the last few months we've done. So that gets automated and accurate. So we now are confident that we are able to monitor and sort of control it, which in the past we don't know what was happening. And a lot of cases where we had to take strict actions. And then over a period of time, I'm sure when the staff understands that there's a monitoring happening, it's going to anyway sort of come down. This is just one example. On our CRM front, we have a brand been there for 19 years. There's so much of customer information across so many transactions that have been there. Now trying to do it in the earlier ways was very difficult. You can only scratch the surface, very little can you figure out. Now we are able to, the tool that we've deployed in the last 6 months is where not just that it gives you a very summarized information, it has a AI tool, Gen AI tool, which will even translate it for you to understand within seconds. So you don't have to even sort of do any exercise of trying to understand. It just gives you the insights which are relevant for you on every aspect, every single aspect of that you may want to know. So those are the things that we started to use, and I feel that there's so much more that we can use and utilize which we don't even know. I think that's where I said. So for us, the challenge lies with the fact that how much is possible and how well can we use it. Someone can really make businesses like ours understand in very simple terms and in cases which are very meaningful to us. There's so many partners who will come and talk to you about hundreds of Gen AI solutions, but it's so confusing is not funny. And especially for people like us who are not tech guys, who want to use from a business point of view, but the information that comes in is very difficult. Yeah, so that I think is somewhere if the industry can help the businesses like us use it effectively. We are hungry to use it. Okay, we are extremely hungry. The kind of examples that Amit was talking about, we would give our right arm to start using it. It's but we don't know how to be able to use that. A lot of us, people like us, don't even know how to even use the capability that exists. Yeah, so I think that's, to me, is the biggest challenge for us to be able to understand what are the possible. I mean, there's a lot of usual use cases like your chatbots, etc. All that is quite common and people know. There's so much beyond that we don't know that can be used, right? I mean, a simple example that I spoke about fraud transaction. We never realized that we can automate it. You would sort of dig down and download the data, and someone would sort of create those pivot tables and figure it out. Today we don't need to do nothing. It just happens. You come in the morning, check the dashboard, and you'll know exactly what has happened, and just take the action. No manual intervention needed. Yeah, so I mean, those are the things that give us a lot of hope and excitement of how this entire space will change, how the productivity will change completely, and speed, velocity, will just go off the roof.
If I can just, please. I think to his point on, we don't know what we don't know, right? And that's actually the biggest, black spot the blind spot all of us have in retail, right? So I think that also brings the relevance of Gen AI in retail into a little more sharper focus, right? And that is where all your prompt engineering is all about, right? I think to uncover the truth, there are several layers, and you have to go through the journey of prompts and get your prompts more sharper and sharper. And today prompts are there literally everywhere. For example, when you use a Teams meeting, when you have Copilot with that, you have a lot of prompts, right? Do you want to summarize the meeting? Do you want to get the previous meeting's action items, or do you want to just summarize it by owners of this particular meeting, who gets to do what kind of thing? I mean, there's so many prompts that you can just get out of it. So, and I think when we do prompts, we normally go behind causes, right? Because we know what we know, and we think it's a causal thinking, right? But I think Gen AI will actually take you away from causal thinking. It will actually give you a lot of new areas which you probably haven't even looked at, or you didn't even think that it could be the way, it could be a potential cause, right? So I think the whole prompt engineering makes Gen AI, a kind of a boiling pot, right? Until such time the prompt engineering gets really sharper and better, and there's a more scientific way and more a framework-based way of doing it. I think that's where most of companies like IBM should probably putting their money on, right? What are the right prompts? So it's no longer about LLMs and data crunching and complex models and algorithms and all that stuff. I think that is well proven, and everybody know that these things work, and everybody have their own models, right? But it's about what to ask, right? It's as simple as that. So what to ask is the most difficult question to find.
Yeah. So there are various models which are easily available in the market through likes of Azure, Google, etc. But I think as you rightly said, to strike the balance in what model to use, because a model giving you an accuracy of, let's say, 2% higher or 3% higher could be very, very expensive. Over the period of the time, you will realize you don't need that kind of a sophistication, versus a model which gives you a relative accuracy of, let's say, 70+%, which can go up to 80-85% is good enough for you, along with those kind of prompts. I think that's the Anil, your thoughts, because I think TTK has been there for ages, and you might have a lot of data from so many households, right? So what is that you would like to kind of get into the for example, when you launch a new product, what is that few indicators which you look into it, right? What would you like to do more? Because it's a household name. Everybody knows about it. So
yeah, you're right. So see, definitely, as I said in my earlier speech also, that we have lots of consumer database through various sources of our websites, our retail counters, franchisee stores that we have, more than 700 pan India. Definitely now the challenge is to right now use the data, how to use the data to cross-sell and upsell, number one. Number two, also to understand the buying behavior of the consumers over there. Because, kitchen appliances are such, I would say it's the most involved category for any consumer, because it's actually reflects the culture of the consumer in the house, okay? And many a times, a kitchen appliances which will work in some area will not work in other area. For the same, recipe to be made, a person might use the separate kitchen appliances. To just give an example, for example, a pressure cooker is a simple pressure cooker, but nobody would know much that in terms of, for example, North uses an inner lid pressure cooker, and in South it is an outer lid pressure cooker. So normally, when you are in your house, you see your pressure cooker and you think this is the way pressure cooker is always, okay? But when you come outside, when you see, the kind of, the nuances that the local cuisine has over there. And it's nothing, it's not that the inner lid or an outer lid usage is different. The recipe, it makes the same. But it's just the cultural behavior that, okay, that the North guy will not use a outer lid pressure cooker. He will find it inconvenience, less safety. But when you talk to a Southern consumer, he will say that is inconvenient and less safe over there. For example, you go to AP Telangana, they will not use a 3-burner gas stoves. Okay, it's inauspicious over there. So you can't promote that kind of products in those markets over there. Okay, you go to a mixer grinder category, in southern state you will require a 1000-watt mixer grinder all across, but when you go to northern, it juicer mixer grinder and a 500-watt mixer grinder more to do with. So all these nuances are there that we look into. So when we launch a particular product, honestly, it's more of the geographical, nuances also, rather than you can't have a pan-India approach over there. And you need to really know also that how to promote that. So for example, if I have now the season month will start, so we'll have a consumer offers over there. So to which area, which kind of products I need to, promote. Okay, so as I just gave an example, if I, promoted 3-burner gas stove in my print ad in AP Telangana, I'm gone, right? So, and these things are something, you need to have a system and a process, as Amit also rightly talked about, a database that gives you, because these can't be, because I'm here, I know it, okay. If someone else is there later, he might not know it and make this mistake over there. So you need to have this database and system wherein, this gives all your prompts to you that this is the way it has to be done over there. So there are various challenges, and we are also looking at, so we are also honestly at a very nascent stage looking at how Gen AI can help us to solve all these problems for us.
Thank you. Sir, from a fossil standpoint, right, you said that you are, in the very early stage of the technology. What would be that, a point where you would kind of think that, it could be kind of a scaled up, and why it has not been done till now? What would be those couple of reasons for you, and, what would be your thoughts?
Okay, so I think this has got to do more with the structure of our organization at this particular point of time. So post-COVID, there has been a restructuring of the organization from, localized markets to a more globalized view of the whole business. And that's been part of the challenges that we've been faced with, and we are kind of reorganizing ourselves. So I think, if you ask me in short, lack of focus, as it were. There's no other reason for it. This is, if you look at what are the fundamentals of our business in terms of any fashion player for that matter, demand forecasting, we've spoken about that. It is the core of the business. You forecast it wrong, you could be out of a season. Or a very significant proportion of your business could be off season, as it were. So why wouldn't you have applied it earlier? It's a good question, you should have. But you didn't. You didn't focus well enough on that. I think it's got to do with challenges, but we are back in the game. What we have done is actually centralize this whole activity between Dallas, and we have set up a global service, a global business support center in Bangalore. So India is an important part of the fossil world, and what we're trying to do is to leverage both. Leverage the fact that we have a direction that we want to take globally, because a lot of this has got to do with prioritization. Which area can Gen AI impact? All of these areas. Which area should it impact? I don't know. You've got to figure out what makes sense commercially, what makes sense from the organizational perspective, what's the burning hot topic that can land you into disaster versus what are the nice to have kind of thing. So I think that's for each organization to kind of spell out, as it were. But I think using the balance between what we have set up at our Brookfield Center and what we have from in terms of global directions, as it were, we are trying to balance the two. That's why I said early stages. Technically speaking, we could have been at the game much earlier, but I think we've kind of resetting ourselves to make sure that we're able to handle it now. But yeah, broadly there.
Can I just take a minute?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I think I can, relate to both sides of the world where we have core retail companies and we have tech companies, because I myself have a tech background. I have been part of retail for about 7 years now. So I think what we are today lacking is a partner with operational knowledge of retail, which does tech as core. What is happening is a lot of retail companies want to explore, what tech can do for them, but they are, under tremendous pressure of, top lines, bottom lines. Their priorities are already set because of their legacy operations. Their, day-to-day work is very, very focused on certain items, which is not, which does not have a lot of space for innovating using new tools like technology, like Gen AI or ML or anything like that, right? It is very difficult for retail companies with the kind of margins we work to, have that extra budget to experiment, create a team from ground up, give them an open field to do whatever they want, see how it evolves and all it. There is just very limited scope for companies to do that. The larger the companies, the more, let's say, inertia there will be for something like that. So there needs to be somebody who can step into this, run the operations, understand the challenges, and then identify the right use cases which can be solved with the right technology, not just Gen AI, but across. Either be it RPA automation, be it Gen AI, be it classic ML, some other AI, even, web portals. Our vendor, onboarding was very legacy. We used to do, vendor onboarding on emails and forms and all. Couple of years back, 3 years back, we digitized it. Now vendor onboarding is a matter of, just a few hours. Somebody just fills up the form online, goes to our finance team, they give a sign off, goes to our business team, they give a sign off, and our vendors were, sourcing vendors are, onboarded. So identifying those challenges requires operational knowledge, but also prioritizing requires technical knowledge. So some balance between the two is required.
So, do you want to add something? So, Govardhan, any thoughts, any closing thing?
I think good, but as I mentioned, we are also in the nascent stage and we are trying to work. And Mr. Amit has exactly mentioned, like, more retailers will focus on top line and bottom line, and I think taking this as a priority on a long-term goal definitely would really help in terms of tech savvy or a digital approach companies.
Also we have to keep in mind that we are still largely an offline, a country which is largely dependent on offline distribution and sales.
Traditional,
the general trade, modern trade. There's a lot of focus on AI and digital and tech in recent times, which is good. That's how the conversation needs to keep going. But most of us in this room are still dependent on the consumer walking into a store and purchasing something. And Indian consumers, in fact globally also, I think the contribution of e-commerce online is not more than 25%. India is probably lesser in certain categories. Touch and feel is still important, right? Be it shoes or clothes or anything, or for watches definitely. Even watch, people want to touch and feel it, especially if it goes up in terms of value and pricing. So a lot of companies which come, and my inbox on LinkedIn is flooded with, and especially just a walk of 100 meters, I was accosted by 10 people who said, "Sir, we can do this for you, sir." We can. I said, "Okay, I know you can do a lot of things for us, but the fact is that, there's a line that you have to, draw in terms of what is necessary and what is, going to really benefit you in the long term, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of challenges that we face as offline retailers, and while there are many plethora of tech solutions, the relevance and to each business could be very different, and that's something that I think at least most of us grapple with. And I agree with Amit what he said, that the understanding of operational issues and tech and the amalgamation of two is something that, a lot of agencies who approach us don't really get it. And they just feel that, this solution, ये आपको काम आएगा. This will increase your top line, this will increase your bottom line, this will do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. How do I deal with a retailer, distributor who doesn't even, whose basic tech doesn't go beyond WhatsApp?
Yeah, you're right.
That's the basic.
That's a
So
reality.
on a
That's
lighter note, I'll give you, and which I've tried very recently, last 2-3 months. Same problem inbox, whether LinkedIn or email gets spammed. I've started responding with one line. What problem will this solve for me? That's it. That's what I've started writing to them. And 90% people don't respond back after that.
That also could be AI. Just a bot.
So you wanted to say? Yeah. Sorry.
I have learned a lot from the conversation, and since it was a point that a lot of agencies approach retailers, how we can improve your life and make it realistic. So that's a very valid point. I run an agency and we have implemented few things. So apart from what we have done, some of the cases I would share, like, of course, you people are not going into a complete tech, as Deepak said about Soch, but how you can implement a small thing in your business. Like one of the lot of apps have done, when you user sign up on a platform, they give a complete video with a personalization, which someone was saying that it's not an artificial intelligence. So the intelligence is not a natural one, it's a temporary one. But that gives a personalization to a consumer. The Cadbury has done a campaign where they have created with a SRK millions of ad for the retailers in India, which couldn't have been possible. What Amit has said very rightly, that the content the genetic AI can give us is a multiple content can be given by a single cost, in a single rupee, which is very possible. Of course, like Paragon and Fossil are not into a way they can use genetic AI to give a real-time experience कि आप जूते try कर लो पहन के. But maybe a AI can give them a experience कि what lucky watch they can wear. So in India, astrology, ABC is a big thing. So astrology, Bollywood, cricket. So what other celebrities are wearing, what watch can give them a lucky charm, that genetic AI can help them. So Fossil putting a single plugin can help them with the astrology or some AstroTalk app. So AstroTalk app is making a 200 crore revenue, which was a shocking thing. How just they are knowing that the Indian consumer teenagers are just looking to talk to the people. They are not worried whether they will pass an exam or fail. They will get married or no. They want to talk to someone. So that is the need of the market. Those data can be generated through genetic AI. So this is just a small contribution.
I think there is something known as a watch coach also, right? There are people who actually specialize in telling you that what kind of a watch, what color watch you should be wearing. I don't know.
I mean, there's a fashion element to it, and let's say the out of the world element to it. I'm okay with the fashion element to it. I mean, it goes within the the umbrella of the brand. When we start taking it to an outer world experience, I don't know if you're well qualified to do that. I'm not too sure if I want to state, this will change your life for you. But I mean, there's a market. I'm not questioning that. There's no argument.
So as a maybe just to end the session, I mean, so we have couple of solutions which is called as a sales assist. I think it's a very common one, right? So it's typically there for the salespeople feet on street on the ground, which are kind of on a temporary basis or not on a permanent job, and there is always a fear that this workforce moves out. What do we do? So automatically, the tool kind of this application helps you to kind of coach that new person who's joining in terms of giving the complete background of the of the retailers. I'm talking about a typical consumer distribution depot retailer kind of setup, which retailers to kind of go where to make the sales, what is the sales pitch, what needs to be kind of spoken about, what is the background of that. So I think that watch assist, sales assist, I think these are the, I would say, things which would be, I think, more and more used in the in the time to come.
No, I think in specialty category it is much needed because of the kind of attrition as
Yeah.
well as on the retail on the ground also the customer service associates. It's not as easy what we used to get a few years back.
Yeah.
Most of them are aspiring for better jobs.
Absolutely.
And finding it very difficult for us, especially in beauty, because the customers require that kind of assistance.
Absolutely.
To get that through GenAI, you will have to train it on India-centric data set.
Yeah. So, absolutely. But I mean, as I said in the earlier, if you pick up the right model, that modeling and then the training is something which you need to strike the balance, right? So you can kind of give 20,000 queries also, while you can give the relevant 100 queries and still start, so that your accuracy is kind of there to a level to kind of accept. Otherwise, people would always say, hey, my accuracy is not there, should I use it or should I not use it? So I think
Yeah, but a lot of large language models that exist today do not have a lot of data set or data that is India centric. There is Indic models that are coming up, and once probably they are there, we'll probably get better at doing this. And maybe predicting what he said, 3-burner stuff's not selling in Andhra. So
that was a good example. I think with that, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. Lunch has started, so we just request a quick feedback. There are 2 ladies here, they will collect your feedback and we have a small token of appreciation for joining today. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And there was a reason why we did not keep any PPTs, because I think everybody's yeah.